And today is October 30th, 2015. I have an urgent message to give unto you, the bride of Christ, and also to you, the lost sheep of the world. It is called In 1 Hour. Today is October 29th, 2015, the year of our Lord. On October 28th, at midnight, Jesus came to me speaking these words of judgment unto the United States, saying, Thus saith the Lord of all power and authority and judgment has been given unto me, to judge the whole world for their disobedience and their pride and arrogancies and unbelief in me. I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending of all things. For this people who were once loyal to me and made me first in all things have sent me away, and saying they do not need me no longer, but they are poor and naked and lack everything. My hand is not upon her no longer, for I have lifted my hand off of her, so that she can receive my judgments. Just as Israel once was judged, she shall be judged as Israel. For 1 hour of judgment she will become desolate, and all nations shall mourn for her, because she once stood as the strongest and powerfulest nation in all the earth. But in 1 hour she comes to nothing. Many believers believe that the judgments shall come at my second coming. But I said, at the hour of tribulation, the judgment shall come to this nation that is worse than Sodom and Gomorrah, the United States of America. For I say, in 1 hour all shall end for this nation called Babylon. For my word says, Babylon has fallen, and there be no one to save her from my judgments. Fire and smoke shall befall her, and all tribes, tongues, and nations shall see her end. For the beast of her religion shall burn also with quenchable fire. Get ready, my bride, for I am coming, and I am coming quickly. Those who have made herself ready shall come up hither to be with me for all eternity. Thus saith the Lord your God, I am the great I am, Alpha and Omega. Revelations 19, 15, 20, 21. His judgments upon the whole world. Read Isaiah 9:7. Heed to this warning. Brothers and sisters, body of Christ, bride of Christ, people of the world, heed to this warning, for it is coming. It is coming quickly. Shalom. We are almost out of here. Church of Philadelphia. Be blessed.
You're just tuning in. We are going to breaking news out of Washington.
Again, this is a developing story. There has been an explosion.
Absolutely shocking.
U.S. Air Force has lost control of 2 Predator drones in recent incidents in Turkey and in Iraq. The U.S. military officials said in the first case on October 16 that a Predator crew reported a lost link and a subsequent crash while the drone was flying southeast of the Iraqi capital, Baghdad. The second UAV crashed on October 19 in southern Turkey. The cause of the crashes is under investigation. The U.S. Predator drones are capable of being equipped with deadly munitions. The unmanned aircraft have become notorious in recent years as they have been used widely by Washington for targeted killings in foreign countries. The UN has condemned the U.S.'s use of the drone for assassination as a violation of international law.
In the opening ceremony, NATO personnel performed exercises showcasing some of the alliance's fighter jets and helicopters, and the actual exercises, named the Trident Juncture, are set to start on Wednesday. And NATO says the drills are to test its ability to respond to new security threats. They were run through early November, extending into Spain and Portugal, and will involve 36,000 soldiers, sailors and airmen from more than 30 countries.
His reputation for ruthlessness is legendary, his military skill unquestioned, and he's now regularly being spotted on key battlegrounds in Syria. This picture from Iran's semi-official news agency showing Iranian General Qasem Soleimani seemingly posing with troops in Syria. The latest evidence of Iran's growing involvement with Russia there. Other photos posted on social media have captions which claim Soleimani was in western Syria in recent days, speaking not only to Syrian troops, but to fighters from Hezbollah, considered a terror group by the U.S. CNN cannot independently verify the authenticity of these photos or when they were taken. But if Soleimani is in western Syria, experts say it foreshadows danger.
It would be another piece of evidence that the Iranians are planning to be heavily involved in what appears to be a planned major offensive in the area.
U.S. officials tell CNN there could be more than 2,000 Iranian troops, up to 6,000 Syrians, and more than 2,000 Hezbollah fighters on the ground near Aleppo, in an offensive aimed at recapturing that city from anti-Assad forces. It's a dangerous alliance that has Washington worried.
It's quite significant. This has been an escalating trend we've seen over the past year in particular as the regime's performance militarily has faltered. The Iranians have stepped in to fill that role and actually have established a strong political and military presence in the country. We have gotten to a stage where essentially these battles are being planned and led on the battlefield by Iranians.
Soleimani leads the elite Quds force of Iran's Revolutionary Guard. He's a shadowy commander with a lot of American blood on his hands from the Iraq War.
He spearheaded the effort to build bombs that were very effective at killing American forces, these advanced explosive devices.
U.S. officials say Soleimani was also involved in a notorious plot on American soil, overseeing Quds Force operatives who, in 2011, tried and failed to assassinate Saudi Arabia's ambassador to the United States at Washington's upscale Cafe Milano. Iran denies involvement. Despite his reputation for commanding operations from afar, there are strong indications that Iranian commanders right under General Soleimani are vulnerable in Syria. The Iranian government recently confirmed that this man, General Hossein Hamdani, a top commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, was killed by ISIS near Aleppo. A U.S. intelligence official called that a psychological blow to forces fighting for Bashar
al-Assad in Moscow on what is thought to be his first overseas visit since Syria's civil war started in 2011. A show of faith in him from Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Syria is a friendly country, and we are prepared to do whatever we can, not only in the course of military efforts to fight terrorism, but also in the course of the political process. Of course, it should be done in close contact with other world powers and countries of the region interested in a peaceful solution.
And in Moscow, the presence of Bashar al-Assad is being seen as significant.
Visit is very important for the Syrian president, who wants to make sure there's tangible backing on the part of Russia. And for Russia, it's also important, first, as a demonstration of Russia's commitment to Assad, and that is essential in the run-up to the negotiations with the United States, Saudi Arabia, possibly also Turkey and others.
Meanwhile, Russian airstrikes in Syria have been continuing. This Defense Ministry video showing operations in the country. But Bashar al-Assad's surprise visit here also a chance for him to express thanks to President Putin for his backing. Russia says it will continue to support President Bashar al-Assad in Syria, despite criticism from the US and other Western nations. Washington says Russia is propping up a leader it believes must go. Russia says it is supporting a legitimate government in Syria in its fight against terrorism. Ollie Barrett, CCTV, Moscow.
About an hour ago, I spoke with President Obama, and we talked about Canada's continued engagement as a strong member of the coalition against ISIL. And I committed that we would continue to engage in a responsible way that understands how important Canada has as a role to play in the fight against ISIL, but he understands the commitments I've made around ending the combat mission.
Justin Trudeau was speaking at a press conference. He said Canada will stop bombing targets in the two Arab countries, while it would remain a strong member of the coalition against the ISIL, also known as Daesh. Trudeau did not give a timeline for the withdrawal. He said the days that Canada was a less than enthusiastic actor on the issue of climate change were over. Trudeau said the new Canadian government understands the way to build a strong economy is to protect the environment. Earlier, Canada's Liberal Prime Minister-elect told his supporters that the country is back on the world stage after a decade of Conservative rule.
Against ISIL.
Many of you have worried that Canada has lost its compassionate and constructive voice in the world over the past 10 years. Well, I have a simple message for you. On behalf of 35 million Canadians, we're back.
New details are emerging from an overnight raid involving U.S. Special Forces deep in ISIL territory. CCTV's Daniel Renches is joining us here in the studio with details. Daniel.
Mike, an extremely risky decision by U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter. He decided to respond to a request from the Kurdistan Regional Government in Iraq, and that mission, led by Kurdish forces, they say, was to prevent the mass execution of hostages by ISIL militants. US and Kurdish Peshmerga fighters like these have been working closely to confront ISIL in Iraq and Syria. American forces are authorized to train, advise and assist Iraqi forces, but not to take the lead on the battlefield. In Thursday's dramatic helicopter raid at an ISIL prison compound near Hawija in Iraq, the Pentagon says US Special Forces helped rescue around 70 hostages, more than 20 of them captured Iraqi security forces.
There was intelligence information provided that indicated that their lives were at risk and maybe imminently. And so that was one of the reasons for this rescue operation at this particular moment in time.
The Pentagon says one American soldier was injured and later died. It's the first U.S. combat death in the fight against ISIL. U.S. officials say this is not a case of mission creep toward conventional boots-on-the-ground operations.
In that support role, they are allowed to defend themselves and also defend partner forces and to protect against the loss of innocent life. And that's what played out in this particular operation.
Now, the U.S. says 5 ISIL terrorists were captured and are now being detained in Iraqi Kurdistan, while several other militants were killed. Officials say they also managed to gather what they're calling important intelligence at the site.
Well, Donald Trump made waves last week when he declared that he would keep the country safer than another Bush. What with that whole 9/11 thing? Well, now he is doubling down. He's refusing to apologize for those comments that he made, saying Bush knew in advance 9/11 was coming.
They did know it was coming, and George Tenet, the head of the CIA, told them that it was coming. So they did have advance notice, and they didn't really work on it. Now, that's something that could happen. I don't blame him for that. Again, the question was, it wasn't that I was blaming. They said that our country was safe under Bush. I said, well, what about the World Trade Center coming down and the worst attack in history? But the statement was our country was safe under his brother.
Yeah. So Trump emphasized once again that he was not blaming Bush for 9/11, just pointing out the fact that everyone keeps saying, oh, well, our country was safe under Bush, but also completely ignoring the fact that the worst terror attack in our U.S. history happened on his watch. And of course, Trump is entirely correct that U.S. intelligence, and in particular the CIA, had advanced knowledge of 9/11. This was documented, and every major news organization reported on it just weeks after the attack. It's not a conspiracy theory. Now, something that's bizarre is that a Bush insider is now calling Trump a liberal conspiracy theorist over his 9/11 remarks. Now, this is Fox News' Dana Perino. She was formerly a press secretary under George W. Bush, and she called Donald Trump a liberal conspiracy theorist pushing soft 9/11 trutherism because he challenged Bush's handling of the attack. She said, it is soft trutherism. It is what it is, like soft racism and soft bigotry, saying he put it out there because he wants to be provocative. Well, you want to know what's soft, Dana, is your reporting after 9/11. You completely failed as an establishment media lapdog. Well, I guess you're quite successful in spinning the official government narrative. Now you're going on to spin it again, saying it's racist to question that narrative. Soft racism.
Russia plans to station a military unit in the Arctic by 2018. The country's defense minister told Russian media on Thursday that the unit should be up and running by then. He added that a military base with modern equipment has also been built on the Arctic island of Kotelny. Russia has reinforced its presence in the Arctic in recent years. The area is believed to hold huge oil reserves and natural gas deposits. In 2014, the country released its military doctrine, which prioritized the need to protect its interests in the Arctic. Russia also plans to create a network of naval facilities for submarines and warships in the Arctic by the end.
St. Louis area authorities are searching for whomever targeted 6 predominantly black churches and set them on fire. Investigators say the arsons happened over 9 days. The first happened the evening of October 8th, the latest just this past Sunday. All the churches are in the areas right around Ferguson. Damage has mostly been sustained to the front doors of the churches, a noticeable pattern according to investigators. And today, these local pastors made an urgent plea for the community to unite and stay vigilant.
This is not over, it's just the beginning. And we want the city to know that the churches, the pastors, the Christians are coming together to stand as one. If you burn one, you're burning all of us.
Authorities say they have not determined a motive, but investigators are saying the churches were targeted. Joining me now from St. Louis, the pastor of the new Northside Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Roderick Burton. His church was set, the second to be set on fire 10 days ago. So, Reverend, I'm so sorry about the church. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you.
So, take me back. 10 days ago, you get a phone call from the minister of music who lives two doors down from the church, right around 3 o'clock in the morning, and they say what?
They said that, Pastor, there was a fire at the front door of the church. The fire department put it out. A neighbor alerted the fire department, and, you know, they left it there. So that just it's jarring enough to wake up at 3 in the morning, even more jarring to hear that there's been a fire.
So when you went finally to see the damage, what was your first thought?
Well, I was very thankful in that the potential for more damage was there. We still could use the door functionally, but and then I also was very concerned about the heart and the mind of the individual that would do something like that.
I'm Lindsay Lowe. We are following breaking news right now out of Sebring. Part of U.S. Highway 27 is shut down at this moment because of an incident involving multiple possible explosives. Authorities tell us they are investigating 4 devices. They look like some type of incendiary device. One has been confirmed as an explosive, and we are just learning the bomb squads on scene detonated one of them moments ago. 3 of these suspicious devices were found at the Newsom Ice Center. One was on the right-of-way on US 27 near the Denny's restaurant. Both businesses and a nearby shopping center are evacuated at this time. I want to show you a map of the area so you can get a better idea of where this is happening. Right now, US Highway 27 shut down in both directions between Valeria Boulevard and Sebring Parkway. It's a main stretch of road through Sebring, so US 17 is going to be your alternate route until this braking scene clears. If you know anyone who's going near that area, be sure and give them a heads up. Sebring police, we are told, do have a suspect in custody, and multiple agencies at this time are responding to the situation, including the Manatee County Bomb Squad, FDLE, the FBI, and ATF. We also have a crew on the way to the scene as well. We will be monitoring the situation very closely.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been mocked and criticized for his comments on the role of Palestinians in the Holocaust. Secretary General of the Palestine Liberation Organization, Saeb Erekat, said Netanyahu's comments show that he hates Palestinians so much that he's willing to absolve Hitler. Germany and the U.S. also said Netanyahu's remarks were not supported by historical evidence. Also, Israeli opposition leader Isaac Herzog also compared Netanyahu's remarks with those of Holocaust deniers. Prime Minister's words have also become the subject of online ridicule and condemnation by ordinary Israelis. Netanyahu said that Hitler only wanted to expel Jews from Europe, but that the then Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Al-Quds, Haj Amin al-Husseini, asked him to burn them. A chief historian at Israel's Memorial to the Holocaust rejected Netanyahu's account as factually incorrect.
And topping this half hour, a new billboard in Detroit causing a lot of controversy. You can see the sign. It reads, America First over Israel.
So, is it meant to be anti-Semitic or something else entirely? Let's go live to 7 Action News reporter Camille Amiri with more on this story. Camille.
Well, Carolyn, that is the million-dollar question. What exactly does the statement on this billboard mean? And it really is up for interpretation because we don't have a definitive answer from the organization who put the billboard up. However, we did do some digging. The billboard is referencing an incident that occurred in, get this, 1948 in the Arab village of Deir Yassin on the west side of Jerusalem. The village was attacked and more than 100 men, women, and children were killed by Zionist paramilitary groups.
This particular ad is not placed in a predominantly Arab American neighborhood. It is also not in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. These ads that we're seeing across the country are general ads that whose goal is to drive a wedge between the American people and the state of Israel. This particular sign goes a step further and raises an old anti-Semitic canard of dual loyalty, implying that Jews are not loyal to the country in which they live. Make no mistake that while many of the Jewish people in the United States support the state of Israel as a Jewish state, we are loyal Americans.
Now, I did reach out to the organization who had this billboard put up. It is based in New York, the state of New York. And so far, no one has gotten back to me. Of course, we'll let you know when and if they do call me back and get a more definitive answer on what exactly this billboard means. For now, we're reporting live. Camille Amiri, 7 Action News.
The government is recalling weapons bought through the Defense Department program.
That's right. And tonight, I-Team investigator Jared Holbrook is uncovering the reason these weapons are being taken away. Jared?
Well, Wendy, the president's recall is impacting 11 law enforcement agencies in Florida, 3 here in the Tampa Bay area. Tanks, grenade launchers, and other military weapons are being recalled by the federal government. It's all part of President Obama's executive order. The order came just after riots in Ferguson, Missouri, and later in Baltimore. Fears of militarizing police forces began increasing. The order put an emphasis on the need to better regulate the type of equipment law enforcement agencies buy from the Department of Defense's 1033 program. It basically gave police forces a chance to buy no longer used military items at a discount. At least 3 local law enforcement agencies in the Tampa Bay area recently got notices. Some of those items will have to be sent back. The Polk County Sheriff's Office spent last week stripping down this tank they paid $500 for. The sheriff was told the Department of Defense will be coming to take it back. Lakeland police bought this tank for $2,000. Officers say they spent another $15,000 fixing it up. That tank is also being recalled. The Temple Terrace Police Department bought 2 of these grenade launchers for $100 each. According to the Department of Defense, those come back as well. Armored vehicles with tires are not being recalled at the moment. Mostly it's just tanks with metal tracks. Top administrators with all 3 of the local law enforcement agencies impacted tell us they're not concerned. They have other equipment. However, the Volusia County Sheriff next door has been saying publicly the recall is putting his deputies on a suicide mission and, quote, people will die because of this decision. Local law enforcement agencies don't have to pay back the items. We're told the Department of Defense is going to be paying for that. Now, as for the money they spent in buying the items originally, deputies and police say there's no talk of getting reimbursed.
At first, it was a wind. Typhoon Kopu toppled trees, blew off roofs, and sent structures crashing when it made landfall early Sunday morning here in Aurora Province in the northern Philippines. And then the rain came. This video shot by a local resident shows the first moments when floodwaters started rising. Lilia Santos was one of many residents who had to be pulled to safety.
All of a sudden, the water came rushing. As soon as the typhoon left, the water came. We weren't even able to pack anything.
The town's mayor says this was the worst in recent memory.
This is just the first time I ever experienced that much water, that flooding, the strong winds, and the very long rainstorm, if I may call it.
One of the things the national government had warned those in the path of Typhoon Kopu about were landslides, given the mountainous terrain of this area. Now, right behind me, you can see remnants of those landslides. This whole stretch was impassable for about 2 days, so villages just ahead of me were isolated.
By Tuesday, however, the local government had been able to extend help to most of its constituents. People had started cleaning up and rebuilding their homes, though power is still out. In other parts of the northern Philippines, recovery could take longer, as residents continue to struggle with massive floods. Barnaby Low CCTV, Aurora Province, northern Philippines.
Double wide's floating. There goes double wide, gone. she goes.
This is a scary system. This is the strongest hurricane that we have seen in the eastern North Pacific ever on record. A Category 5 right now. We've got wind speeds at 200 miles per hour. Hurricane hunters just flying through the eye of that earlier this morning, and it's now moving northwest at about 12 miles per hour. We're expecting landfall later today, and it does not look like it's going to decrease in intensity. So this is a major system. Could see rainfall rates up to about 20 inches and some very strong winds, obviously. So we're going to be watching this. This could be, as the National Hurricane Center is saying, a catastrophic event. So we'll keep an eye on it.